Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rainbow Six Siege Reinforcements. I'm Matt, joined by Jordan.
Hello.
And today we're talking about Operation Grim Sky. So Operation Grim Sky is the third season of the third year of Rainbow Six Siege, and it's kind of exciting as we'd normally expect. We're going to get two operators, but things are a little bit different from they have been for the first two seasons of this year.
Yeah, so this is actually going to be the first season of Rainbow Six Siege since Velvet Shell, all the way back in Season 1, Year 2, that we've actually had just one attacker, one defender, because we had Operation Health, we had 3 operators in Blood Orchid and White Noise, and then we've had the kind of weird start to this year with 2 attackers and 2
been an
defenders.
odd period, right? It's been an odd year for Rainbow. You know, nothing has been quite like what it was in Year 1, where it was very regimented and you always got 2 operators, you always got a map. So we're kind of back on schedule, right?
And we've already got our first trailer for one of the new operators, who is the British defender, Clash.
So yeah, Clash is, as you say, our British operator. She's from Scotland Yard. Quite an interesting kind of place for them to decide to bring an operator in. Scotland Yard being a police detective division rather than, you know, I would expect something more like SO19 or something like that, you know, the police armed response. But no, we've got this kind of detective kind of branch. And she's got an interesting looking gadget.
So yeah, Clash is going to be the first defender with a shield, which opens up hundreds of questions really, because you know, there's only been 2 main shield operators on attack. Of course, you can put it on recruit, you can put it on fuse as well. But with Clash having a shield on defense, it sort of, you wonder whether it's going to be like ridiculously difficult to root her out of a corner. Like you already have that question about secure area, where normally if you got a Montaigne in a 1v1 in a secure area,
he's typically going to win that, right?
Yeah. So like, you know, we don't know exactly how it works, but if you look at the trailer, you can already see that it has tasers. It can be fully extended.
It's like a combination of, so it's Montaigne shield effectively, you know, if it extends. So it's the best shield arguably that the attackers have got, but it's got what looks like maybe twitch darts in it. Right. You know, it may be something even more dead, because that trailer shows it's like proper arcing bolts of lightning. It's not a taser barb. It's almost Emperor Palpatine kind of style.
I will lightning you to death if you cross this border.
So how are you feeling about that, Jordan?
Well, there's a lot of concern in the community, especially amongst pros, that this is going to be ridiculously OP, but there could be a few limiting factors. So in the trailer, we don't even see her move when she has the shield fully extended. And even if you look at the key art for the official blog post that was released to sort of detail what she does, you can see a sort of a trigger in her hand, which suggests it might even be a remote activated thing. So possibly she puts this shield down and then she can move away from it, so like blocks out a doorway.
Almost like how we classically use the extendable shield as a kind of doorway block anyway, and we've sort of jimmy rigged that gadget to work that way. But maybe, as you say, this is when it extends and folds out, maybe it fits quite neatly into the frame of the door.
We also, I mean, we don't know yet. It could be more destructible than Montaigne or Blitz's shields. Maybe it will take a certain amount of damage. Maybe it can be destroyed by a sledgehammer.
Yeah, maybe Ash's breaching round.
Yeah, so there's plenty of options still open, and until we see a full reveal of it, like, it's too early to say, oh, it's OP, it's ridiculous. You know, nerf this thing we haven't even seen yet.
Sure.
So that's Clash.
So that's what we understand from her trailer and what we can kind of surmise from what we can see in the key art. But what do Ubisoft have to say about Clash?
So we also have a bit of background information from Ubi's official blog post, which we'll read just now. She's an expert at devising crowd control strategies, and she even acquired special permission to attend Gold Command meetings. She later made Detective Constable. Her experience, service record, and persistence in her line of work got her noticed by Rainbow Six. Twitch and Mira combined their engineering backgrounds, leading an R&D project to create the CCE Shield, Crowd Control Electro Shield. Clash is the perfect operator to handle this new gadget and weapon because she understands mob behaviour and she pioneered Snatch Squad tactics, not to mention her experience as a riot officer. She knows exactly when and where to deploy this shield to deny entry and slow down her opponents. Not only that, Clash has the backbone to stand her ground and a cooperative mindset to set herself up for assists. She shows no mercy and she has zero tolerance for nonsense.
she sounds an absolute badass. I mean, she looks a badass as well. Like, I love the tie. Yeah. Like, it's so British. I mean, despite the fact that the person we're about to talk about is American, this is the most British that I think Rainbow has ever been. You know, when we get to talk about Hereford as well, the fact that it's called Grimsky. Like, if you guys aren't from Britain, and I mean, recently it's been really hot in Britain because, you know, the world and all of that weather stuff. But yeah, normally it's fairly grim and dank here. So yeah, let's talk about our special American friends for this British.
From across the pond.
Yeah, his visitors from across the pond to do a little bit of work at Hereford, and his name appears to be Maverick, but not.
Right, so nothing has been officially revealed about this new operator yet, apart from we can see them on the key art for Grimsky. But if you look into the actual video tags for the trailer for Clash, you can see a tag which is new operator Maverick. So I'm going to go ahead and make that leap and suggest that that's the official name of the...
And it sounds right, okay? So he's Delta Force, right?
Yeah.
Which would, Delta Force, Maverick, they mesh together quite nicely. Yeah, I believe this.
Yeah, this was spotted by a Redditor though, so full credit to them. But what do we know about them?
Well, their gadget is, interestingly, it looks like they're a hard breacher, right?
Yeah, so you can see quite clearly in their hand that they're holding a blowtorch, which is kind of an interesting, like, we don't know how it works yet, but presumably if it's a blowtorch, we'll have a bit more curative responsibility for how we make the breach hole, whether we can draw lines and, like sort of, draw a big
of course, that's exactly what we do. So, yes, basically the interesting thing about this is that when our first hard breacher obviously was Thermite in the vanilla version of Rainbow Six Siege, and he can put a Thermite charge on it, which is a big, flat-out breaching charge, which will just blow a reinforced wall clean out. And then Hibana turned up, and Hibana gave us a little bit more choice about the way that we breached. Obviously, you can use the her X-Kairos charges to blast through almost individual letterbox pieces. So if you actually wanted to do an entire wall, you could fire 3 sets in. Yeah. If you only wanted a window to shoot through, be that shoot someone's knees out, shoot their head out, you could do that. So it makes sense that our next hard breacher would have even more utility in the way that they could do this. So yeah, suddenly we've got a blowtorch, and yeah, I can imagine the idea of, I mean, it almost looks like it's a rifle with a blowtorch in it, doesn't it?
It looks like a hefty bit of kit.
So, yeah, so I could imagine like using the mouse to trace sort of the shape. So if I only want a little hole to sort of like knock through, to effectively snipe through, I can do that. If I want to create a one-man kind of space, if I want to try and fit 2 people, you might be able to use it depending on how much, because presumably it's going to be, it might be on like a gas system.
I
so
think
Thermite has 2 charges that you can use. Hibana has 3 sets of X-Kairos. This I would imagine is on a gas, and when the gas runs out you can no longer use it. But that might mean you could maybe trace across 2 reinforced walls and knock 2 down effectively.
Yeah, like, so I assume it'll be, so the cases with Thermite and Hibana is Thermite can destroy the most surface area, but he has less sort of creativity about how he can do it, and he's the most vulnerable of the 2 while doing so. Yeah, you go down to Hibana, a bit more creativity, much less. She can make the same amount of area as 1 Thermite charge. Perhaps when we get to this new operator, Maverick, the space will be just small enough for 1 person to get through. Or like a slim gap to run through, or maybe to vault through or crawl through. But we'll be able to make all kinds of weird shapes in walls and effectively open it up for all kinds of sight lines.
Yeah, he probably is going to be a mix of Hibana and Thermite, right? Because he has to get really close, because and even closer than Thermite to a degree, because while Thermite has to get obviously right up to the metal to put his charge on, he can then run away to detonate it. Our, Maverick has basically got to be right there for the moment that final bit of the torch connects with where he'd already drawn. And presumably then we're going to get the bit drop out. I quite like this. It's not an explosion, so, I mean, blowtorches generally make quite a lot of noise and spark, but you might be able to use it as a quieter way to breach into an area, rather than this huge, catastrophic explosion of dust and metal and debris. But yeah, kind of like, until we actually get to see him in action, lots and lots of questions, but I like the promise and the potential of a blowtorch. And so finally we have our third and no less important element of Grim Sky, which is our new map. And we're not getting a brand new map in the same way that we normally would. We're getting a rework of a map. But actually, so this is Hereford, one of our most problematic maps to date. You know, there's always been kind of a problem since day one, especially as Rainbow's meta has evolved and changed. With kind of like the problems with Hereford have become more and more obvious. And so, whilst it's still got the same name and probably has quite a few similar elements, this is effectively a new map, right?
Right. So the problem areas used to be the stairwell, because one of the big things that's changed over Rainbow's meta is how defenders roam effectively to buy themselves ways of, you get more time, you can snatch attackers from behind, etc. There was one stairwell in Hereford.
Yeah.
There was no way you could roam. Once you lock out that stairwell as an attacker, you've basically got the defenders all to yourself. So we haven't actually seen that. There's been a new trailer. You can spot already, like, it's a lot bigger. There's a World War II theme. There are almost no windows on the outside, which hopefully means no spawn peeking. But we haven't seen much of the stairwell yet. There's a short
glimpse, right?
Yeah. So it's too early to say whether it's going to be a successful map rework, but I mean, Villa has actually been picked already a few times in Pro League. So I think the team are really getting their head round what Pro League does to maps and how people play them.
Yeah.
So you think they have a good handle on how to rework this?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just a case of kind of reworking it for Pro League. It is important to have that there, but the benefits of those maps come down to casual players, right? You know, people like, I mean, me, and then you're kind of the next level up from me because you're a proper kind of competitive player, but I'm far more casual. But I still reap the benefits of a map that has good site rotation, good opportunities for roamers, good anchoring points, good entry positions for attackers. You know, just it's not all about the pros, it's about us getting that. And also just the fact that, like, even though I can already see the similarities, like, it's still the same map in that it's got, like, you start, it would appear as an attacker, you start kind of like on the dummy rifle range and you work your way into a bigger building. It's got that side, it looks like it has that central stairwell. It's a series of rooms positioned that are built out of chipboard, basically, because it's a training range. But it's Hereford when it was owned by the Royal Air Force before the SAS kind of took it over. So you say there are what look like Spitfires kind of parked outside. It's got, I'm going to guess, as even though it's got those Spitfires and they were kind of decommissioned or taken out of the Air Force in the late 40s, it looks like it's probably about the 1970s, kind of like it's got old TVs in there, kind of those, that looks like sofas and stuff like that hanged around. It's that era of like real, when the military were really going for kind of like tactical strike operations and training themselves in buildings like that to fight from room to room. And so even if, as you know, just as an aesthetic overhaul, it's really exciting for that. But yeah, I'm excited to see how the rotations work on this map. Yeah.
And it was the entire concept of Siege was built on Hereford.
Yeah.
That was the very first map they pitched the game with. So it'll just be nice 3 years on to sort of see what they've learned over that time, but also to see the return of sort of the King of Siege, like the main map that everyone thinks to, like, it's the first situation, all that stuff. So
absolutely, yeah, it's very symbolic and kind of like, I think is, you know, maybe the final kind of punch point on the idea that like Siege is properly back. Yeah, you know, it had that like need to ramp up, but now it's here and it's kind of very, very fast on its way to being one of the kings of first-person shooter esports. And, you know, if you've only got to look at where it is on Steam to see just how popular and how beloved this game is. So yeah, I think it's quite a nice symbol. So that's almost everything from this episode of Rainbow Six Siege Reinforcements. But before we go, Jordan, this has obviously largely been speculation from us. When will Ubisoft actually reveal if we were right or not?
So we're getting the official reveal for Operation Grim Sky on Sunday the 19th of August, which is just before the grand final of the Six Major Paris.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Please do hit the like button if you did like what we've told you today, and why not subscribe? We do plenty of Rainbow Six Siege videos all through the year, catching up on major patches, major league kind of changes and stuff like that. So if you're interested in Rainbow, please do stick with us. But until next time, good luck and have fun.